For decades, corporate law in India was a space reserved for a select few, often inaccessible and almost always male dominated. But in the past few decades, we have seen women leaders reshaping the narrative. Hi everyone, I am Shweta, and in this episode of Leadership Lounge with the CEO magazine, we are joined by one such women leader, Advocate Sushila Ram Varma. With over 30 years of experience in litigation, international arbitration, and corporate advisory, she leads the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services, a firm built on the philosophy of preventive lawyering and business first solutions. Let's welcome Advocate Sushila Ram Varma to the show. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, Shweta. I'm good. And what about you?
I am also good. So, to begin with, could you please tell us a little about yourself, your early years, your early education?
Well, I come from a business family that was based out of Eastern India. And I did my schooling and my college and everything in the Darjeeling district. And we were in a boarding school where we were surrounded by a lot of natural beauty, which I must say made a very big impact right from the beginning. I was in a boarding school from the age of 5, and I grew up with the best of nature because places like Darjeeling have a lot to offer when it comes to natural beauty. So that kind of gave me a very positive vibe in my upbringing. And of course, when we went home also, which was primarily in the hills, even then we were surrounded with a lot of nature. So essentially, education was in that particular part of the country.
Can you please tell us a little about how you came into law?
Yes, Shweta, in fact, that's very interesting. And I would say that is what people mean when they say serendipity. I did not have any intention of becoming a lawyer. I come from a business family. The entire family is in business, and nobody in the family is into this particular profession. I wanted to do my MBA. I had passed out from Darjeeling, a college called Loreto College, and then I spoke to my parents. I said I want to graduate by doing a MBA, and I wanted to do it from IIM. So I was very keen on sitting for that exam. My father, of course, had other plans. He sometimes wanted me to become an IAS officer, and he was very keen on that. And then there was an uncle who was a DGP in police. He kept insisting that I should join the IPS. But I had something else in mind. I was very keen that I should develop a business and take it in a professional manner. So, since there were, in our times, it was not as if like we were given a chance to decide what our future had to be. We always had to take parents into consideration. So, we kind of reached an impasse, and my father said, all right, if you want to do your MBA, do one thing, stay with us for a few years and do your law. And after that, you can do your MBA. Now, since there was no restriction on doing another degree and then going for MBA, I did it to humor them. And, I was in a boarding school from the age of 5. So my parents also wanted to spend some time with their only daughter. I have other siblings, but they're all brothers. So there was a great amount of, I would say, love that was involved, and they said that they would get me married off, so they wanted me to stay with them for a few years. So giving into their wishes, I agreed to do law. And when I started doing law, I found the topic quite difficult. But I always like challenges in life, and I found that although it was difficult, it was something that had really inspired me, and something that really made me want to know, made me more curious, and I wanted to learn more about the law. I wanted to understand how everything worked. And slowly and gradually, in a period of, say, 3 to 6 months, I fell in love with the topic. And when I did that, much to the relief of my parents, I continued with law. and later I even topped the university. I just decided that this was something that I wanted to do, and then I started reading about lawyers, and there are so many successful people who are not only in the legal profession but who have gone on to become very big world leaders. So all that inspired me, and that's how I became a lawyer, and that's why I say it's destiny.
Okay, so you completed your, study of law from Darjeeling only.
Yes, I did it from there. And later on, when I was in Delhi and practicing in Delhi, I decided to do a master's program from the National Law School University in Bangalore, and that's where I did that program.
Okay, so from Darjeeling to all the way to Delhi. So how did you make this move?
Again, Shweta, destiny. Initially, after I had done my law, I spoke to my father and I said that I would like to go to the Kolkata High Court and work with some lawyers over there, and then subsequently settle in Kolkata. They were agreeable because they had their business interests there and there was a home where I could stay. But it so happened that one of the lawyers who was working on one of my father's cases in Kolkata, after meeting me, he told my father, "Why do you want her to be in Kolkata? Why not look at Supreme Court?" So till then, we had not even thought of, coming to Delhi or working in Delhi. So when he said that, and then he said he knew some famous lawyers like Mrs. Sushma Swaraj and the people like that, and he spoke about them, and that kind of inspired my father. He said, "All right, maybe she should give it a try." So initially, the idea was that I would come to Delhi for 2 years, work here, and then probably go back to Kolkata and work there.
Okay. So when you started your career, it was around 3 decades back, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Law was a male-dominated field.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and although the scenario has changed a bit in the past 3 decades, but still, most of the lawyers that we see or meet are male. So, and to consider all these facts, you still chose corporate law, a field that is not the first choice for a women lawyer. What made you do so?
You're right when you said that when we joined, it was primarily male dominated. I would agree. I would say just maybe 2 to 3% of the lawyers were females. When we joined, there was not that much of a choice. It was always only litigation or arbitration. So we joined as litigation lawyers. We worked in the different courts. But subsequently, a specialization came in India where corporate law also became an option. Now, coming from a business family, obviously business law would have been of interest to me. It was interesting. Also, another reason I would say is because I found that the process in court was terribly slow. So I felt that if you actually wanted to make an impact, you should do something to promote an area which was still relatively new. And it was also interesting. But of course, court work can also be very interesting when you're doing final hearings or when you're, doing some very important hearings like taking a stay or getting a stay vacated. So I decided that, okay, let me dabble with this part of law. I found it interesting, and that's how I started the firm.
Let's talk about your law firm, the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services. Although it was a male-dominated field. Plus, what we usually see is lawyers usually choose to work at some other firm or spend their entire life in litigation. What made you decide that you wanted to have your own firm? Was it because you came from a business background and that was something in you that I have to own a business or something?
Actually, I don't think I'm really cut out to be working with somebody. I always had leadership qualities. I think even when I was school, I was always the captain. And even when I went to college, I was given a lot of responsibilities. So probably being a leader was something very common for me. And maybe in that context, well, I did work with a few firms in the beginning because you have to learn the ropes somewhere. Like I said, I came from a business background, so I had no idea about law. But I was very lucky. I got a lot of good breaks. I worked very hard and got a lot of accolades for it. And eventually I decided, no, it's time that I move on and I start my own practice. And that is what happened. And I still remember the law firm that I was working in. It was run by Mr. Ravindranath, and it's called Rajendra Narayan and Company. He was a Harvard Law School product. And I remember telling him that, sir, I've decided that now I'm going to move on and start my own thing. And he turned around and he said, you know something, you're going to be very successful. So that was, I think, very encouraging. Yeah. And well, then the rest is history.
So, the very first firm that you founded was not the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services.
No. Right. Earlier, I started something with a partner in Mumbai. It was called Hazari and Ram. And we were, again, essentially doing only business laws. But we had focused on a lot of financial matters also at that point of time. But in 2010, I had some major health issues and I had to take a sabbatical for a year. So we ceased to work together in that particular period.
Okay. So how did the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services came to be? Because I remember reading about it and that story was really interesting.
Well, when I had this health problem, it was quite severe. I was on the bed for nearly a year. I had to take bed rest. So when I used to be lying in bed, I used to find everything very frustrating because I've always been very dynamic. So, and I was also very scared that, is this the future for me? Am I not going to be able to get up, walk, and, lead a normal life? So at that point of time, since my think tank was always on, I thought, if I can't go to people, why can't people come to me? So that's how I started an online portal called the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services. Initially, it was supposed to be an online option where people could connect with you, take advice, etc. And we began in that mode in 2011. This firm is co-founded by Mr. Shrikant Varma, and he and myself, we thought that let's make law accessible to all, because we noticed that there was a lot of hesitation in people when they had to approach lawyers. And that's how the dream came true.
You started at a time when people were not exactly aware. And even at a time when internet was just started booming in India. So that must have been a plus point for you. Because
Absolutely. In fact, the internet boom had not happened till then.
Yeah.
It was still relatively new. But I realized that it was going to become a very big thing because it started converting the real world into the digital world.
Yeah.
Of course, Corona made the real world the digital world. And today, I would say the real world is actually the digital world. We don't have any other world. So what happened was, I agree with you, it was at its infancy, or maybe not infancy, but it was climbing up. Yeah. And I felt, why not take advantage of this? So we took the advantage, and subsequently during the Corona times, while people were grappling with how to get on to to have a digital presence, we never had to worry about that because we had already done our innings. So that's it. I think when some new technology comes, one should always try and see what is the plus and minus points and then see how best you can adapt, because adaptation is what finally decides how successful you will be.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing that I find very interesting about your firm is preventive lawyering. What exactly is it about? Can you please tell our viewers?
Before we do that, I'd like to just introduce my firm a little. So we are a business and corporate law firm having a multiple city presence of Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad and Chennai. And we focus primarily on business and commercial laws. We feel that, this is a very big area in the legal field where you can actually do very good work when it comes to helping businessmen. You don't have to always fight battles in court. It's not necessary. You can guide people how to set shop. You can guide people on what is the sector they should enter into. You can guide people what is the best way to do business in India. See, we primarily focus on foreign clients. So for us, this is a very good way of trying to help, the economy to grow, so to say. And as part of our efforts to make India known, my co-founder and myself, we go overseas, we meet a lot of law firms, we meet a lot of companies, we take part in a lot of seminars and conferences, and we introduce India. And it's quite nice that we are able, or rather I would say it's quite fulfilling that we are able to get a lot of interest from foreign law firms and foreign companies for India. Now, coming to your question, which was
Preventive lawyering.
preventive lawyering.
Yeah.
Now, I feel that litigation in India, sadly, is very, very slow. There are many lawyers who have raised their hands because of the sheer timelines that are involved. And since we are running our blog since 2016 and reporting around 25 to 30 judgments every month, important judgments that have a bearing on legal rights, we've realized that the entire journey is very, very slow. Invariably, we notice that a matter closes at the Supreme Court after nearly 30 years, which I would say is a lifetime. So we feel that why get into a battle where you're going to spend the better part of your life, instead of developing, instead of growing, you're going to spend the better part of your life litigating. And that can be very exhausting, not only for the clients, but also for the lawyers. People like me who are very result-oriented would definitely want that we give relief as soon as we can. So, but if you're stuck in a system which is slow, there's not much you can do. Hence, the word preventive lawyering, which I must say was coined by Shweta, is actually something that I feel as good lawyers, one must encourage clients that if there is a possibility, settle it out of court. If not, fight it. Eventually, the fatigue gets in, it settles, and the parties are generally agreeable to settle.
When should a business that is just starting out reach out to a lawyer?
Oh, I would say right at the beginning. And especially if you're a foreign client, even before the beginning, in the sense that you decide that, look, I want to do business in India, first thing you do is reach out to a lawyer. Understand what are the options you have. Like on our website, we have a tab in our website which says Doing Business in India, where we explain how to do business in India on a very broad-based line. Then, of course, eventually, after reading that, they can go ahead and decide which sector, how to go about it, etc. So, you need a lawyer right at the beginning, especially if you're in business.
Okay, I would not be naming anyone, but I was having a conversation with someone who whose business is in America, and I asked him one question: that what are your plans for expanding in India? Because he was from India, and he said, no, I'm never going to expand to India. I am happy where I am, because doing business in India is very difficult when compared to other countries.
I agree. But there have been changes, but still we are very compliance-oriented economy. I mean, there are too many things that you have to do when you're doing business in India. Too many compliances with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and with the tax authorities. And then, of course, you have other authorities like the Labour Commissioner, etc., etc. And what happens is you need a proper team of legal professionals and I would say even a team of tax advisors and chartered accountants when you're doing big business in India. He is right to a certain extent that yes, it is compliance ridden, it takes a lot of time, but he forgets one very important thing. We are a dream market for any business. 1.5 billion people. Anything you manufacture, it can sell. I mean, if it's a success, see the customer base. Where do you have that kind of customer base in the globe? It's only in India. And apart from that, even if you're in some other type of business, see the kind of audience you get. Suppose you are directing, say, a movie. See the audience you get in India, 1.5 billion people. Or if it's a musical album, I mean, you don't even have to travel very far into the world to make your business a success. It can happen in India. So I would always advise people, get a smart team of professionals. Believe me, doing businesses in India is not that difficult. And believe me, the profits can come rolling in very fast.
When people think about lawyers, they think that they are only for handling disputes. So from your experience, what are some risks businesses often overlook that a lawyer could prevent early on?
I would say the traditional way of looking at a lawyer is a troubleshooter who will help you when you are into a dispute. But not today. I mean, why today? I would say not for the last 20 years. Lawyers are now become advisors. They advise big businesses. They advise mergers and acquisitions. They advise collaborations. They help clients to understand how to get into major contracts where the government is involved, where you have a private-public partnership. They help you to, bid for major contracts, which are government related, which run into billions of rupees. So I would say that today the landscape for legal practice has expanded exponentially. And with so many multinationals being here, it just goes to show that what I'm saying is a fact that the commercial law practice has really gone up.
Okay. So you mentioned working with foreign clients as well, Indian and foreign clients. I would like to understand what cultural and legal differences affect the way you advise them, and what differences do you see between these clients?
Well, I would say the foreign clients handle legal and other professionals in a more professional manner. When I say professional manner, if they give you an assignment, they believe that you have the ability to deliver. So they accept your advice. They accept your judgment of a situation. They many a times give you complete freedom. Yes, there are times the board of any particular foreign company would have questions. You have to be smart enough to answer them properly. Yeah. But I feel that their questions are very focused on the work. Whereas Indian clients, well, you know how inquisitive Indian minds are. So they will have a lot of questions. They will bombard you with whatever little knowledge they have of the law, which is invariably incorrect. And sometimes it can get a little taxing. So I feel handling foreign clients is much easier.
For someone who is not from a legal background, corporate law or business law can sound complex. So could you explain what it is and what all it entails in simple terms?
See, in simple terms, you should understand the need of the client first.
Okay.
Now, suppose somebody is coming to you, they are into waste management. I always tell my team, understand the industry that you're going to advise. Because if you understand the working of a particular business, you will realize what is their requirement, right? Okay. So based on that, first you understand what is the core requirement. Like in law, we say first principles. First principles mean that you understand the basic law first and then start applying your mind. So like I say, I tell all the lawyers, first be clear on the facts, then start thinking about the law. Similarly, if you're advising anybody in a different industry, obviously you won't know about it. Now, for instance, waste management, how will you know about waste management? So learn what it means. How does the entire process start? And actually, sometimes I sit with the team and I actually ask them questions. I give everybody little aspects of the business. We discuss it amongst ourselves. We understand where the hitch can be, what are the pain points of a particular business. So I think that's very interesting. like if you're going to do aviation law, so you have to sit with them, understand what is the kind of requirement that the country has, what are the laws that has to be fulfilled, what is it in the mind of the client when they are looking at getting into the sector, like that.
Okay, so when you onboard a client, what all services are, what you provide to them?
See, we are lawyers, so we will obviously provide the legal services.
Yeah.
But we've tied up with other professionals. So we've tied up with chartered accountants who give the tax advice, who give the financial advice. Sometimes they also do the risk management aspect. Then we have tied up with company secretaries who help in the compliances, because like I said a short while ago, compliances are very, very lengthy, and it's always better to hand it over to professionals. And then, of course, we have business consultancy, which our co-founder is a director on several companies. So he advises people on business consultancy. So we try to act like a one-stop shop and give a complete solution so that the client can only focus on their business.
Like you mentioned, court processes in India can be slow. So, in your experience, what are the most effective ways to avoid litigation?
Well, it's not very easy to avoid litigation. But, if you come to people, lawyers like me, I would first analyze the case from your perspective, see what are your plus points, what are your pain points. And then I would probably suggest that, look, it's just a matter of some money. Why don't we try and see what the other side has to say? Invariably, I start with a very strong notice so that, the other side feels that, look, we are going to have a proper battle. So, and at the end of the notice, I always give the option that if you feel that you would like to settle this out of court, I can persuade my clients to do so. And a number of times we have been successful. And many a times the other side has backed off, they feel, because, see, corporates are also there to do business. They're not there to be fighting wars for years, right? So it's like that.
And what are the alternatives to litigation?
Yes, recently there has been a discussion of private means of deciding disputes. It's like you have this alternate dispute resolution in which you can, of course, do arbitration, mediation, conciliation, all these options are there. But of late, people have started putting on their thinking caps and thinking, why can't we have private mechanisms of sorting differences? Like arbitration is also a private means, right? They're thinking of that. And if the government looks at that as a option, I think that would be really good, because Indian courts are overburdened with too much of litigation. And sometimes they're not even worth fighting, the 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees. I mean, who fights for such small amounts? The legal fees will only cost you nearly 1 lakh. So it doesn't make sense. So if these private courts come into play, I think it would really be good. But of course, those courts would only work if both sides are ready to get themselves to be adjudicated by private individuals, that is by legal professionals. Apart from that, now you have something called the Commercial Courts Act. Now in that, they made it mandatory that every dispute that comes to a commercial court must go through the mechanism of an out-of-court settlement, and option must be there. So I think this is something which is the need of the hour. You can't have, millions of cases in the court and all pending. It's better that you finish somewhere.
For startups and new entrepreneurs, what is the first legal step you recommend before launching a business?
First, I would say for every startup, please go to a lawyer. I am not trying to hard sell myself, but you have to know, because see, startups are generally by children with bright minds who come up with good ideas. They are technically qualified and they can make the business work.
Thinking about the law, we cannot expect of them to think that, yes, I'm going to start a business. First, I should go through a lawyer.
So that's what I'm saying. In fact, we are asked to be part of seminars for startups. We advise startups, and there are many incubation cells that approach me for startups. So I always say, first thing you need is your idea. Second thing you need is a lawyer. And third thing I would say is you need a chartered accountant. Be clear on all these things, and then, talk to them about what you have in mind, see where it takes you, see what the sector has, see what are the ups and downs. So you'll be more, if you're informed, you will always make a better decision, right? Before you take a call on what you're going to do. So it's called informed consent. I would say the same applies to all of us for everything.
We are seeing technology and AI taking over every aspect of our life. So, how are these tools affecting the legal profession, and what aspects of your work will always need a human touch?
See, Shweta, AI is a very powerful tool today.
Yeah.
And technology has been used by us for years now. And technology has helped us in many ways. It has helped us to speed up the work, and it has helped us to, get the best in a number of situations. For instance, like photocopying. I mean, earlier they had a different system. Now things are so much easier. And now even that is replaced by scanning, where briefs are just scanned and sent out to the digital records, and you just look at it and you do your matter. So technology is a very big thing. But AI per se, it is definitely a very big thing. I would say it's probably one of the biggest inventions that has taken place in the technological world. And if you know how to use it rightly, which I must say that I'm not very well equipped to use it rightly, but there are children in the office who use it correctly, and sometimes they come up with some very good answers. But I still feel that the human mind is the most superior. After all, AI was also created by a human mind, right?
Of course.
Of course, the search engine helps them to access more information much more quickly.
Yeah.
But it helps greatly in the legal world when you have to say, look at a 1,000-page document. You go to the AI, give a command and say, tell me which are the important documents. It will be able to quickly cut through that entire 1,000 pages and tell you. But whether it's completely accurate or not is questionable. In fact, many a times, these children who work for us, they say, no, ma'am, the AI says, but we need to cross-check. Which means that the AI is not completely faultless. Also, it's a human-generated invention, right? So whatever you feed is what you will get.
Yeah.
Now, it's not necessary that in a field like law, medicine, or for instance, financial advice, the AI is trained to look at every aspect. It might be only on a very macro level.
Some of the laws in India are so outdated. What are your views on that?
Oh, I completely agree with you. We have acts which are going into 1872 and things like that.
1872.
And they are so old and very outdated with the times. And especially when you see some of the penalties, they talk about 10 rupees, 50 rupees, the penalty. I mean, it's ridiculous in today's day and age. Today, even a beggar is not ready to accept 50 rupees. So I think many of our laws are very archaic. But yes, the government is making changes. There are many laws that have seen changes recently, and hopefully there should be a major revamping.
Okay. If you could change one law or regulation in India tomorrow, what would that?
I think I would zoom in first to the insolvency and bankruptcy code. It's been very badly misused. People who owe money to the world have been able to find the loopholes, and they have taken advantage. So that is one law which I feel is a mockery. It doesn't really help in resolution. The companies who are the operational debtors, they have cheated a lot of people and they're getting away with it. They don't pay, and then you take it to the NCLT, you take up the matter over there. Then there is invariably there is no solution, and it just drags on, and eventually a lot of people lose their money. In fact, what is sad is many people are losing their salaries. For instance, you see these airlines that have shut down. How many people who worked for months at an end have not been paid? there are government dues. Okay, government can still take the fall, but what about people who have worked for months at an end with some particular corporate? They don't get paid. So I think that is one law that really needs to be looked into and improved upon.
Do you believe that there is some corporate social responsibility that you as a lawyer have to fulfill?
Certainly, I would say all of us who are in business or in profession, definitely we all have a social responsibility, corporate social responsibility or social responsibility, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We've been given a lot in life. It's time that we also give back to society. So at our firm, we have two things that we are doing. One, we have our blog, which is called the Indian Lawyer Blog. We started in 2016. We have a national ranking, and we are currently in the top 20 in India, where we are reporting around 25 to 30 important cases every month, and I'm the editor. So that's one way which we are helping in our corporate social responsibility. The other thing that we started a year ago is our YouTube channel. It's called the Indian Lawyer Legal Tips. Unlike other legal programs, we are focusing on specific topics where we're trying to educate the common man on different aspects of a law. Because, see, going to a lawyer, going to a doctor is still a very burdensome thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Because if I fall sick and I have to go to a doctor, it does something to me. I feel, oh no, I have to go to a doctor. So similarly, even going to a lawyer. Now, one of the reasons why I would say it's a little difficult is because at the end of the day, you're not informed. I spoke to you a little earlier about informed consent.
Of course.
So if you have the information, you're able to understand or able to decide what is it that you would like to do. So we thought, let's reach out to the common man and let us try and educate them on different aspects of the law. We get such nice comments. We get people who thank us. Then, ma'am, you have helped us to understand the law in such a simplified manner. And ma'am, you're doing a great service, because most of us were completely in the dark about particular areas of the law. I think we're doing well. I mean, we do topics like money laundering. We would do something on banking laws, like the current one is on the SARFAESI Act, where a bank can take over the asset of a borrower and sell it. So we're advising borrowers as to what are the things that a bank can do, how you should be careful, how you should be alert on your rights, because there are certain timelines you have to follow.
Okay, so you have also mentored many young lawyers. What is the most important advice that you give to them?
As a mentor, I always feel that integrity is a very important thing. If you have integrity, everything will follow. If you have integrity, you will be ready to work hard. If you have integrity, you will be ready to be disciplined. If you have integrity, you will be honest in your approach. So all these things, three things, are very important for success.
Ma'am, you started your career in the late 80s or early 90s. And that too as a woman in a male-dominated field. So it must have been challenging for you. What were those?
Shweta, it was definitely challenging in the sense that you saw all men, okay, all men in black. So there were very few women. But on the other hand, I would say it was also quite easy, because you were a woman, you could, the judges would hear you, people would do your work. You went to corporates, if you showed them that you had brains, they would listen to you. So it has both plus and minus points, but definitely it was male dominated, and people would prefer going to a man as compared to a woman when it came to advice. But it was a myth, right? Over the years, it ceases to exist now. You don't always go rushing to a man for business law advice, right?
Looking back at the time that you started and looking today, what progress do you think we as a society have made, and what challenges are still there that needs to be addressed?
Well, I think we have definitely come a long way as an Indian society. But what I notice since I'm one of those people who is very widely traveled across India, and especially since we have offices north, south, east, west. So you get a lot of exposure to the kind of people who are there. One thing that I notice very often is people are more into aping the West, into looking at what is good, or rather copying the West without absolutely forgetting that we have a culture of our own, traditions of our own. And believe me, these traditions far outweigh the culture and the traditions that you have overseas. We come from a place where there's so much of learning. So this is one thing I feel that we as a society have regressed. Luckily, in South India, people are still very conscious about traditions and about ancient scriptures and so many things. So they are kind of holding on to it. Yeah. But we notice that by and large, people are getting very attracted towards the foreign lifestyle. Whereas foreigners are getting attracted to the Indian lifestyle. They're coming to India for their meditation, for their yoga, for trying to recover from setbacks that they've had. So I feel definitely progress. All of us should progress. But don't forget your roots. That's very important because that's where you've come from. So you should never forget that. Be proud to be an Indian. Why do you have to ape anybody? We have so much of good in our own culture, in our own society.
The legal landscape is evolving rapidly. If you were to advise the next generation of lawyers, what skills or mindsets would you emphasize?
Skills, I would say, be very meticulous in your work. Be clear on the first principles in law. Be clear in what the particular industry that you're advising is all about. Even if it's a court case and you are looking at, say, somebody is running a cold storage plant and he has, say, lost a lot of goods that were stored in his cold storage plant because of a malfunction. So you should understand how the cold storage plant works, what is the kind of support system they have, and how they fall back on technology to safeguard themselves. You should understand all that because when you have the complete picture, you can do more justice. So that's another thing. Be meticulous. Give some time. Think out of the box. Be a little clear on exactly how things go and learn to adapt. That's one thing. The third thing I would say is that there's no shortcut in any profession. Whether it's law, whether it's medicine, whether it's your line, you have to work hard and you have to be diligent about it. But I think the biggest advice that I would like to give everyone, whether it's from my profession or otherwise, if they're youngsters, honesty is the best policy. Learn to live with it. Believe me, you will get all your returns by and by.
How do you see the role of women shaping not just the legal profession, but business and policy leadership in India?
I think we're doing very well. And I think the fact that we are there in every stream is very encouraging. So what I would say is that kudos to the Indian woman for having found her place. It's a great experience when you're told that the woman who's flying the plane is a woman pilot. It's great to know that the surgeon who's operating on you is a woman surgeon. It's great to know that the lawyer who's defending you is a woman. So I think we've come a long way and we have found our place in society.
Okay. And if I have to speak about your personal life outside of work, what keeps you motivated and inspired?
Well, I have a lot of hobbies, so I think whenever I get the time, which sadly I don't, I try and do whatever interests me. Like I'm very fond of interior designing, very fond of gardening. Sometimes I like to cook and pamper my husband. So those things are there. And I think mostly I like to travel with my husband and see new places, new cultures, and enjoy the place as and when time permits. And luckily, the two of us go for lots of short holidays. So
how do you find a balance between such a demanding career and your personal life?
That, Shweta, I think is very difficult. I think the sacrifices that have been made by my husband far outweigh what I have done, and for that I'm deeply grateful to him. He has always supported me, and work-life balance for professionals is very difficult. You are also a professional, you understand. As Indian women, we still have to take a better part of running the home as our responsibility. It's not like how it's overseas, where it's 50-50. We have to do a lot of work. So there are times you're so tired, you're so frustrated, you get fed up, and then as women, we also have a lot of commitment issues to the larger family. So those things have to be taken care of. I mean, we have to balance it. It's something that everybody has to do. We, with so many years of experience, do it much more better as compared to maybe somebody like you. So it's like that, I guess.
What is your vision for the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services?
I want see when we started, that's the co-founder and myself. When we started the Indian Law and Allied Services, we were very clear that we wanted to be like the Tatas. That is integrity, honesty, and people should look at us and say, "Oh, these people, we can trust them." So that we've been able to achieve. We have clients coming back to us even after 25 years, after 30 years, because there's an implicit trust that they repose on us. And now I want the Indian lawyer to get a global, I mean, we're already global, but I want us to tie up with some foreign law firm and go the global way in a big way. That is what I want. And we want to spread the word that, look, you have a firm that can render accurate, honest, and correct guidance. And we want to welcome people from different parts of the world to come to our country and work here, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's manufacturing or any other sector, because overall it will help to boom our economy.
Ma'am, so that was the last question from my end. But since Sir is also here, I would like to ask him a few questions.
That I think is an excellent idea. And thank you, Shweta.
Hello, sir. How are you?
नमस्कार जी.
Namaskar, sir. कैसे हैं आप?
All good, all good.
Okay. So before we talk about the firm, could you please briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
I'm an international business consultant. My name is Dr. Mogli Shrikant Varma, and I advise people who want to invest in India mostly from overseas, and we have a large clientele, foreign clientele for that, and I advise them.
Okay. So you are not from legal background?
Not really.
Okay, so
I'm a co-founder of the firm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what role exactly do you play at the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services?
Well, in Indian Lawyer, I do the business development for the firm.
Okay.
And PR activities as well, and represent the firm at national and international forums for business development, also getting investments into India. This is my prime and niche area.
Okay. So let's move back to the question that I called you here for. What is your long-term vision for the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services going forward?
Our motto at the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services is, we are reliable, responsible, and resourceful. And we want this legacy to be taken forward by our associates. And that is what we would stand by.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for coming here and joining us here for this. And
thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to our viewers for joining us here today. Until next time, take care.